Well, I am at the FlyQuest offices right now to interview Massu ahead of his heading off to Worlds, but also following just a couple days after you lifted a trophy on stage. Are you surprised that you lifted the trophy?
I won't say I'm surprised we lifted the trophy. I'm surprised how we did it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Why were you so confident that you guys would be able to do this? Especially because, I know obviously you had the close match against Team Liquid, but they were undefeated all split long, so I feel like you guys were still the underdogs going into that.
Yeah, I think in terms of public perception, we were definitely the underdogs. But for myself, I had a lot of faith in my team. I thought we were really good. I thought as long as I played consistently, and as long as my form wasn't like the way it was when we played, for example, TL the first time,
Yeah.
then we would easily win. Because I think overall, they move on the map better usually. They are a very good team at coordinating together. But I think that's something we've gotten pretty good at. And I think we're just really good at team fighting as well.
Yeah. So why do you think you've been able to improve on that, or how have you been able to improve on it? Because if this was kind of their secret sauce, I assume even at the start of the summer split, you might have felt like they were stronger at that. What has allowed you guys to get to a place where you feel like you're at least on par, or maybe even better than them?
Really, it's just the entire team has been working to get on the same page together. Mythy, Arrow, and Nuke have been focusing on all of us, but mostly Arrow has been helping me, Mythy has been helping Busio, and Nuke has been helping Quad. So it's kind of aligned us all on the same page. And usually Buppo has been our, joker card sometimes. And I think he's also tried to minimize the amount of crazy plays he does. So.
Yeah. Well, so he's tempered it, is what you're saying. You just needed to get him in line.
No, I think it's really good what he does, but
Yeah.
I think when it's unexpected, it can throw the team off balance. So then, even though it might have been a good play, it might throw the game into a weird state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. So you feel like you guys have been able to figure this stuff out. Actually, you mentioned Mythy, and I do want to ask a little bit about him because he was the C9 fans wanted him out of C9,
Yeah.
And it's interesting now that C9 is not going to Worlds and Mythy is. So I don't know if you can speak to what his impact has been like on the team.
I mean, for sure, I think his impact has been invaluable. I can't really state how much he's helped us as a team, how much he's helped our structure, and how much he's helped Busio specifically.
Yeah. I
think he's really just leveled us up as a team and has been really helpful to everyone.
Would you say helped structure, helped all this stuff? Can you give an example?
For example, I guess I'll give it specifically for what he's maybe been helping with Busio, but a lot of the times he would just sit down with him, watch VODs on certain champions, explain to him the very intricate mechanics of it, when he should do what, when he should do this. And then, they would just watch VODs together. They would watch what supports do, around grub timer, how they set up their lane for maybe when they want to roam, when do they want to lane, just stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. So you also got Rookie of the Split. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Did you expect to get it?
I would say in spring, not really, but as I played through summer, I did feel like I was playing pretty well, especially during the middle half. So yeah.
How much do you think you grew as a player between spring and MSI and then today?
I think I've grown a lot from spring. I think MSI was the biggest factor. When I played at MSI, I realized I really have to play with more intention. I really have to make sure everything I do has meaning behind it, because it'll affect my entire team and it'll affect my game. So I just stopped playing off instinct as much, I guess.
Yeah.
And I just started thinking about, if I do this, then the game will look like this. If I don't do it, then the game will look like this. So that's the biggest difference.
A lot more kind of critical thinking and forward thinking, I guess. Yeah. How were you able to develop those skills? Was that something where you just realized after MSI, okay, I really got to figure this stuff out? Was it something you worked on with your team? And also, you say that you're in some cases defying instinct almost, right? Because you have an instinct, but you're okay, I have to stop and think this through. Yeah. But in a league game, there's not a moment where you get to pause and be okay, if I do this, if I roam. So how were you able to develop that over the course of the split?
It's like a mix of the things you mentioned. My team has helped me a lot about it. Our coaches like repeatedly would nag on me about it, so that's been good. And yeah, just myself. I watched a lot of VODs. I watched a lot of pro players, and I always like when I was watching them, I would figure out why they were doing something. But I think back then I had too maybe simple of a read on it. So now I can maybe like better decipher why they're doing something for the big picture in the game. So that's helped.
Yeah. What is an idea or an impression that you had about the LCS or what your year would be like at the beginning of the year that is maybe very different now? Because I feel like a lot of people have that experience, right? You enter a new job and then you have a bunch of ideas of what it's going to be like, and then a year later you're like, oh, this is so different. Or you hang out with friends, you start going to some sort of group thing, whatever. How much has changed in terms of your impression of the LCS and your role in it, and so in the past year?
I guess mostly. I'm not sure actually. I guess it was honestly better than I expected in the later half of spring, because I came in like thinking I have a lot to learn, which I did, and I thought I would take a long time to catch up. But I think with the help of my team, I was able to catch up pretty quickly. And then I'm like, okay, this might be like easier than I expected. But then that's when like TL started ramping up, and then C9 also started looking better. So then it was kind of a surprise to me that, oh, people really think that NA is usually super bad, but the growth that I saw from TL and sometimes C9 was like quite impressive, and it just kind of surpassed my expectations of like what a usual NA team from what I heard can play. So
yeah, did you expect to be lifting the trophy? Like when you walked on stage for the first time in spring, did you know at that time like, oh, I could be lifting a trophy with this team at the end of the year? And maybe even did you expect it?
I mean, for sure, I had very high hopes for winning with this team. But whenever I go into like a final or whenever I go into a tournament, I don't really think about the expectation or like the trophy or anything. I just mostly focus on like my play during the day. I just try to focus on the game.
Yeah.
So I didn't put much thought into that, but I for sure did think like our roster is really good and we would win eventually if we kept working together.
All right, let's talk about the game-winning moment, the minions.
Yeah.
I just talked to Inspired about it, but because it's so iconic, I'd love to, even just for history's sake, maybe someone can use this video at another time. Talk me through that team fight and then everything that happened between that and you literally going and lifting the trophy.
Okay. So the team fight was happening, and then at that point, I already thought I completely threw the game because I bought Zanya's, and then I bought Zephyr, and I just put myself down 4K gold for no reason because I thought the game was gonna end. So I'm like, oh shit, I just threw everything. Then I almost got caught on mid. I lived, then Alan went in and got caught, and then it kept spiraling. And then at some point I'm like, I'm just gonna backdoor, but then I thought APA wasn't showing on the map, so I'm like, oh, he based for sure. Looking back on it, I still could have went through his vision, but that doesn't matter. Then we were team fighting. I got hit by Cassante Q3, and I was like completely out of it mentally at that point. And then we got aced, and I just stopped looking at my screen. Like I'm thinking about next game. I'm thinking about like what to say to my team.
So are you like zoning out at this moment, or are you like looking around or like looking down? Like you said, you're not looking.
I mean,
at the
after
screen,
I died,
yeah,
I was like just looking at my screen, and then I'm like trying to figure out if this game is actually like if we can hold it.
Yeah.
And then like I saw Busio was spawning soon, so I'm like maybe he'll be able to do something. But then they killed him, and they still had some of the wave.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, oh, they're just gonna end. And then at that point, I was like thinking about next game.
Did you know at the time about the minions at the bottom?
I did not. I was completely like not looking at that. And then Quad, like while our Nexus is dying, he's like, look, minions.
Yeah.
And then I looked over and I saw their Nexus was 1 HP, and then the camera just spanned over. Yeah. It was pretty insane.
Yeah. So then what happens then? the Nexus explodes. What's going through your head?
I mean, I was just completely shocked. Like, I got up, I hugged Busio, I was
Yeah.
like screaming. We're all like, what the fuck just happened? We won because we all thought we lost.
Yeah.
And
Just a complete 180.
yeah, complete shock. Like, it was so much relief because at that point I was like convinced I just threw the entire series because we were gonna go into Game 5 tilted.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like huge relief.
Do you, is there any part of you that's like, okay, the minions are funny, but damn, I wish we won it by like a team fight and then killing their Nexus ourselves? Or are you just like, I don't care, this is hilarious? Like, because you guys had mostly won that game anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it was like our game to lose.
Yeah.
Like, it was a free win and we threw. So it doesn't feel bad that we won through the minions.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
When was, I asked, inspired this, but do you remember the first moment where you were able to like actually talk to your team about what happened? Because it's kind of funny where like you guys get up and then you have to go lift the trophy and there's like interviews and there's all this kind of crazy stuff.
I mean, it was during that entire time, like as we were walking to the trophy, as we were like hugging each other after, we were like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
How did we win? And we were just talking about it.
Yeah.
And actually, LCS released the comms video.
Yeah.
And APA was like, there's a huge wave bot, should someone
Yes.
answer it? And unfortunately, they thought they could outpush the wave, I guess.
Yeah. I interviewed him yesterday and he's like, yeah, I said this. And then like the other teammates were like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
And
so,
yeah.
that must sting, but.
Yeah. That's so crazy. So you ended up lifting the trophy. This is your first split. This is your first time being in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
What was the experience like for you of winning? Like not the Nexus exploding, but everything that happened afterwards that day.
I mean, it just, I guess, surreal feeling. Like, I've been watching LCS since I was like 12, 13. And I've seen like my favorite teams or like favorite players at times lift trophies. And that's kind of like what's made me want to go pro, just like the competition. So it just like, I guess it just felt fulfilling. It felt really nice.
Do you remember anything of like lifting the trophy and seeing the crowd? Anything funny from the press conference? Because there's all these like people, you know, sometimes they'll watch on stream and they'll see the trophy. Maybe they stick around for a little bit of the interview, but then they're like talking to their friends on Discord, or they're going and grabbing a meal, or they're turning off the stream like, oh, okay, well, FlyQuest won. For the people who haven't and won't ever get a chance to experience that, like, do you remember any cool moments from the rest of that day?
I mean, of course, like lifting the trophy was insane because the crowd was still super full. Nobody has left it, and the cheers were really loud, so it was nice. And my dad came to the game, and I just hear him like screaming from the side.
Oh, you could hear his voice.
Yeah, because he like ran all the way up to the stage almost.
Yeah.
And like the security were like trying to stop him.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the most memorable part.
Yeah.
And then during the press conference, not really much. I guess Don Jake was just asking me a troll question.
Yes, that's him.
And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. What, you guys did like a party here afterwards, right? Or a little celebration?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did have it.
You had to shake a bottle. I think that was it's a sports reference, not an esports
champagne.
tradition. Yeah. And how do you feel like you did it with that?
Well, I stood to the side because I don't drink.
They didn't give you like apple cider or anything?
They gave me like Olipop.
Oh,
so then
Olipop, that's what it
after
was,
everyone
okay.
popped their champagne,
Yeah.
I went in the middle and then popped that one too.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That's awesome. Okay. Have you had a chance to talk to any friends or family that were rooting for you? Obviously, you said your dad was there, but what have those conversations been like? I don't know if you like have friends that you went to school with that were like, "Hey, I watched the game."
I mean, actually, yeah, I'm really like still very connected to the people I went to school with.
Yeah.
And the people I've met, and they all messaged me after the game, and it's all really nice. And there's one friend in particular who like, I guess, kind of pushed me into all of this because when I first was gonna get into tier 3 or like an amateur team, I was like questioning it because I was like getting ready to transition into university, and I'm like, is this sustainable? Is it like a good idea? And he kind of pushed me to just take a chance.
Yeah.
So I guess when I got the message from that one friend, it also meant a lot too.
Very cool saying his name.
Oh yeah, his name is David.
What did David say to you when he pushed you back then? Do you remember how he encouraged you?
I don't remember the exact words, but like I remember the team like approached me, and I was like pretty hesitant about it. So then he's, in my opinion, a very mature guy.
Yeah.
So I just like kind of went to him for advice, and he said something along the lines of like, it's kind of just like a once in a lifetime chance,
Yeah.
and you might as well go for the shot and just like see
Yeah.
what happens.
Seems like it was worth it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
worth it. Yeah.
All right. So now you're going to Worlds. This is not the first international experience you've had, even though this is your first year.
Yeah.
How are you preparing yourself for it, especially after having experienced this twice already this year?
I think this time, like I said before, I'm able to go into Worlds with a lot more intention.
Yeah.
Like I have things that I want to focus on. I have ideas in the game that I want to get better at. I really want to get better at my macro, for example. And that's all something I learned, I guess, boot camping and just playing against other teams and watching Worlds teams. So,
Are there any teams or players you'd really like to face?
I think Elk and Pays
Yeah.
are currently the two ADCs that I watch the most, so I'd like to face them.
Just because you watch them, you enjoy their play.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
like how they play.
Yeah. What about as a team? Are there any teams that you think would be particularly rewarding to take down?
I mean, definitely G2.
Yeah.
Because last time it was so close, and I think if I had just played a bit better, then we could have won. So I really want to face them again.
Yeah. It's so funny how all the North American teams that I interview that are going, all the World's teams are like wanting to face G2. Like G2 is such a target for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Have you been to Europe before?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless I was like 3 years old.
Sure. Yeah. When you were really young.
Yeah.
Do you ever get excited for the ability to travel to these places, or no, because you're like in a scrim room the entire time?
I mean, we are in a scrim room, but it's definitely like one of the biggest parts for me of why I really love this.
Yeah.
Is like going to all these countries, and even though sure like we won't be able to see as much or like sightsee as much, it's just really nice. Like you get to visit this place, you see their culture. That stuff is just really nice.
I was talking to Inspired before this, and I asked him if he had anything he was excited to go back to Germany for, because obviously he's been over there. And I was like, any restaurants or whatever? He's like, oh, I've already been telling people. Has he talked to you at all about food or restaurants he wants to take you to?
I mean, all they're talking about is like donors and kebabs.
Yeah, yes. That is a very German thing. Yes. Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
Nice. Okay. Well, hey, is there anything that you want to say to any of the fans out there that have watched you this year and seen you become not only Rookie of the Year, but also Summer Champion?
I really appreciate everyone that's always followed our journey, that's always watching, that's always supporting. And it really pushes us to try that much harder and become the best versions of ourselves. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the interview. Looking forward to seeing you play. And honestly, just a couple of weeks from now, it'll be really fun to watch.
Thank you.
For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things leading up to Worlds and Worlds itself right here on my channel.
Oh, hey, I know what you're thinking. Man, I wish I could watch some type of long-form podcast in which Demonte and Nuke Duck got interviewed. I wish I could get their take on... Now wait, hold on. Hold on just a second. If you check out the VOD on YouTube of Travis Gafford's Hotline League, you might just see that he did, in fact, interview those two people. So guys, please check that out.